Yes, indeed, we are running a little bit late, 30 seconds to be exact, but hey, better late than never, as they say. And we are back here on Garden America, kicking off today's show. I'm never going to learn. I'm never going to learn. For those wondering who probably can't hear it, my laptop is feeding back the audio.
And also, if you're listening on the radio, we're not late at all.
No, exactly. Not at all. Very good point, John. But nothing like live radio, live Facebook as we kick off this weekend. We trust you had a good week, and we're going to have a lot of fun today, a lot of information, gardening and otherwise, as we kick off today's show here on Garden America. Do want to remind you to, as many times as you can throughout the weeks, days, nights, visit our website, gardenamerica.com, or as John likes to say, www.gardenamerica.com. Also, our fantastic YouTube channel, Garden America Radio Show. All of our shows archived right there. You can fast forward, you can rewind. Do the same thing on our Facebook page, too. Wherever you turn these days into 2022, there we are on Garden America. That's it. That's all I got.
Can't avoid us, right?
Can't avoid us. That's our whole point.
Everywhere we go.
Everywhere you turn, there's Garden America. John, what's going on in your fantastic gardening world?
I can't find us on Facebook.
What
else is new?
Do you remember the Led Zeppelin song, Dazed and Confused?
No.
Every time I hear it, I have you in mind.
I only know Stairway to Heaven. I don't.
That's it.
I thought they were like one-hit wonders.
Oh, yeah, just one-hit wonders. Yeah, they're never going to be written about in the annals of rock history. That is for sure. Tiger, you're okay?
Yeah, I'm just trying to tag everything. So I'm doing work. I'm doing work.
Whenever you see Tiger with his nose to the grindstone or the nose to your tablet, he's doing work for us.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about John.
My daughter says good morning, and hopefully she's out there shopping for chestnuts.
Does she have an open fire to bring them back to?
Well, we're going to be visiting next week, right, for a few days.
Yes.
The whole family's getting together up there, and we have this tradition where, for years, where I would force the kids to eat a chestnut.
You force them? Like you grab them by the neck and
yeah, kind of, because
them?
no one really liked them except for me, because it was a childhood tradition for me.
Right.
But it was something people would try one every year, get by it, and eventually you develop a taste, right? We did that with my son-in-law and olives. He didn't like olives, so we just said, hey, just put it in your mouth, and then you can spit it out.
Okay.
And we had to make sure we got the ones without the seeds in them. Get the seedless ones. And
now, were these before the olives were actually treated? These were the poisonous ones, right?
No. These were Lindsay olives.
Okay, all right.
But eventually, I think I don't know if he likes them, but I think he eats them now.
My introduction.
So it's the same thing with chestnuts. And I bought my daughter a chestnut peeler. How about that?
You're still in that chestnut thing.
Yeah, I love chestnuts.
By hook or crook, you're going to love chestnuts.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you like them. Olives, I can take them or leave them. I'm not a martini olive guy, the green olive.
No, I can't do green olives with pimentos.
No?
You like the pimento?
I love the pimentos. The only ones I don't like are the ones that are stuffed with garlic. I love garlic, but it's just too much. It's just too much.
The black olives, Dana loves olives. You can put olives on everything. She's going to eat it.
I can't do the Greek olives. But the
what's Greek olive? What is that?
They're kind of the wrinkled, really big strong
black
taste.
And they still have the seed in them.
Yeah.
So what is it about olives that you have to especially treat them? So are they all poisonous to begin with, olives?
Well, they're astringent to begin with. So, but yeah, they're not edible until they've been cured. And to cure an olive, you have to brine them with repeated baths, like over a period of days. Like, who would have ever thought, I still can't eat this. Well, here, put more salt water on it.
Exactly.
And then after, 2 weeks, hey, they taste pretty good now.
All right, stop right there. That's our recipe.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's like that, what is it, John, the cuttlefish, the Japanese delicacy? Is that what it is?
No, you're thinking of the blowfish.
The blowfish, yeah, blowfish.
Sushi, the restaurant, remember?
Yes.
In San Francisco's blowfish, sushi blowfish to die for was the name of the restaurant.
You know what? Not me. I'll pass. Thank you.
Hey, you see what Carla says?
Carla says, good morning.
Good morning, Garden America.
I had trouble with Facebook this morning, too. They're always up to something.
She's making fun of you.
Gotta love those Facebook guys. Yeah. Tiger's still tagging. What else? We've got.
I brought something for show and tell today. When Tiger gets
ready.
done with that, he's going to show it.
You ready?
You want to see it? Now, this is something interesting. We apologize to those on radio, but again, as we've mentioned many, many times, if you want to see this show live, join us at 11:06 Eastern Time Zone, 8:06 Western Time Zone every Saturday morning, and you can watch us live. Tiger, what do we have?
And this is a great gift idea for
It's a
Christmas.
unique,
if you
different
like
gift
puzzles,
idea.
you know. And when you get older, there's really not much more you can do.
Now, there it is on the
sit
screen
at a
right
table
now.
and do puzzles.
Now, somebody might say, okay, what are
Like
those?
a bunch of little toys.
Well,
now they're wood. They're carved wood, right, John?
It's wood, laser cut wood pieces, and they're actually themed. So the name of the company is Mosaic Puzzles.co. If you want to go to the website,
Okay.
Not .com, but .co, and you can get cities, you can get all
Right there,
kinds
Tiger,
of
there you go.
puzzles. But it's cool that the pieces are themed like that.
And they fit together as a puzzle. And
Right. And in this one's called A View from a Garden. And look at, you got a watering can there, a cactus plant, a palm tree, dogs, cats. Some of the ones I didn't bring in were birds, hedgehogs. I mean,
now the picture
was
you see
fun.
in the puzzle box is exactly what those pieces make.
Right.
That's what
That's
it's.
the back side that we're looking at because they
Right.
show better. But
Yeah.
on the other side is the actual picture.
Right. Yeah, you get pruning shears, saws. It's fun. I like the garden-themed one. So if you want to get a present for yourself.
Or somebody else that's different.
Yeah, I have to.
Or, it is the season to buy a present for someone else, John.
Yeah, John.
I know, but this was $100, so I bought it for myself.
John bought it for. It's my puzzle. I'm going to buy it.
Actually, I bought mine last year, and with inflation, they've gone up to $100. But I think when I bought mine, it was like 49 or something.
wow.
So they've doubled over the year. But it's something that you'll have, and it's just fun. If you're a gardener,
Yeah, it's different
Yeah.
than that white puzzle you gave me several years ago. Just all white. Here, put it together.
Have fun with this.
But you found out once I told you about it, the picture was on the other side.
I don't like to admit that, but I might have spent some time before realizing that. A lot of people checking in. Rochelle says a late good morning to all Foggy Blossom Valley.
Yeah, right? We've been having some cool weather.
Yeah.
Cool temperature-wise, but
It's
cool,
about time.
Foggy, weird.
Don't have to water much anymore for sure.
Got to warn you on that puzzle, too, that the pieces have to fit exactly because they're wood and they're cut. On a regular puzzle, you know how you kind of push them in?
Yeah, you force it.
Force them to fit. Can't do that on this.
I'm interested in this because, those pieces fit in with other pieces. That's pretty
Right.
cool because, how does that cat shape fit into the puzzle? That's pretty neat, John. That's
Well,
a good one.
only half the pieces are shapes. The other half are irregular, weird things
But there's still
to fit in there.
Yeah, it's still going to be hard to match it up
Yeah.
with a cat.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know.
cool.
Patience with puzzles. If I can't put a puzzle together in 10 minutes,
Really?
I don't know.
So
it
you're
takes a
one
certain,
of those 10-piece puzzle people?
I've got ADD?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
What are we calling it these days? Concentration. I've got to be stimulated like every 10 minutes.
That's why he likes fish tanks. It's just every time you look at it, it's something new.
Yeah, because the fish are swimming in different areas, different
That's what I'm
places.
saying. They're always doing something
It's like
new.
here when I record commercials all week and then I get a revision. Oh, I got to redo this? I got to revisit this? Not a good revision guy. And we get a lot of them too. Oh, client changed his mind on the copy. Or, hey, they want different music. Or, you didn't say this word right. Yeah, I know. I'm learning. Patience.
Carla points out that $100, which seems like a lot for a puzzle, is the new $20.
It is. That is true.
It is true.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
My dad-
And, I like the fact that it's made in the U.S.
Oh, yeah?
My
that's cool.
I had my son Jesse get me a puzzle for Christmas or maybe my birthday last year, which is I saw the picture and I thought I've got to have one of these, but you can't get them anywhere. And they're called I think they're called out of the frame puzzles. And the one that he got me was Noah's Ark.
Oh, that's cool.
And so you've got a picture frame of Noah's Ark, and then you've got animals crawling out of the picture frame. That's what the puzzle was.
Okay.
But he said that it came to him all in one piece. He had to separate all the pieces.
Really?
Yeah. And it was really cheaply made, but it did have a cool picture.
Well, it comes in one piece like that to prove that, yes, it can be done. I mean, we're showing you that somebody did it. Now break it apart and do it yourself. We've got about a minute to the first break. Let's set the stage today, Tiger, for who we're going to be talking to.
We're going to be talking with our travel buddy, Matthew Brumley with Earthbound Expeditions today. And we're going to be giving our listeners some tips and tricks about, travel now. It's
changed.
We don't know. Every week it's changing.
Yep.
Every week there's something new. But Matthew's been traveling currently, and he has a lot of tips for everybody out there.
Places he's been, what he's observed.
And then how to maybe include gardening into your travels, no matter where you are.
So that's what's happening. But again, we always welcome your gardening questions. That goes without saying. Post them right there on Facebook. Those on Biz Talk Radio, thank you for tuning in. We're going to take our first break for this Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, depending upon where you are, along with myself, Brian Main, John Bagnasker, Tiger Palafox here on Garden America. Okay, thank you for sitting through the break. Those on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. Those on Facebook Live probably saw me on the phone trying to get a hold of our guest, Matthew Brumley. Did not connect yet, but we will continue in that pursuit of Matthew Brumley and talk about world travel, garden travel these days. But until such time, John Bagnasco has the quote of the week. John.
And I disagree with this quote, but I thought I'd use it anyway.
We don't agree with all the quotes. We just throw it out there, right?
This quote's from your buddy, Willie.
Willie Nelson.
No, William Shakespeare.
Oh, that's right. I read the quote. How silly of me.
Yeah. He says, at Christmas, I no more desire a rose than wish snow in May's newfangled mirth. But like of each thing that in season grows.
He just likes throwing words together and sound important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think his point was that, I don't want anything out of season. I'll just wait for the season to come around. But the thing that I objected to was, what does he mean at Christmas? I no more desire a rose. I mean, is there any month of the entire year where somebody doesn't want a rose?
Yeah, and Christmas probably is one of the biggest months where you would desire it because it's kind of, not going to happen for the longest time.
You know what I've noticed
There's
about
also
you?
a Christmas rose, which is not a rose.
Yeah.
Tiger, I've noticed about you, you're very desirous.
Desirous?
You're a desirous guy. Would you say he's a desirous guy? In many ways. He's desirous. He's desirous of other things.
It's very desirable. A lot of people say that about him.
So until we get a hold of Matthew, we've got a couple of questions we want to hit on Facebook.
Well, Carolyn wants to know she wants it as a gift. She wants to get a Hydrangea Endless Summer for a neighbor.
Hydrangea, one of your wife's favorite plants, John. Let's throw that in there.
She wants to know where to buy one. But the problem, I would say, is this time of year, those hydrangeas are going dormant, so you can't buy them at, like, say, Home Depot.
I have nice green leaves on mine, but no blooms.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, maybe you could give that to Carol.
So you're right. But you're right about them being dormant.
Yeah, well, they'll be losing not only no blooms, they'll be losing their leaves,
Not
right?
mine yet.
So I think her best bet's going to be a garden center.
Yeah, check your local garden center, call around because there's probably people that have them still in stock left over.
Yeah.
And if they don't have them, you can always go online and get a gift certificate for one. Like Spring Hill Nurseries sells hydrangeas. And I think You know what? Our buddies at Heirloom Roses.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go to heirloomroses.com, they sell a lot of hydrangeas.
Mm-hmm.
And you can maybe you can even order one this time of year.
Yep. Yeah, I think so.
It would just come with no leaves.
No leaves. They still ship them, right?
There you go. That's probably the best bet. Either order from Heirloom. Oh, there's your buddy.
Really? You think that's him?
I don't know. But I'd rather answer the phone than have it ringing during the show. How's Christmas trees moving, Tiger?
We just got a second or third load of Christmas trees in right now. They're doing well. Yeah. So this will be the last load that is guaranteed right now. After this, we don't know what we're going to get in for the rest of the season.
Oh, not because you didn't order them, but just because you don't know if the supply's there.
Exactly.
Wow.
So.
Well, you guys are right. That is Matthew on the phone right now. You want to put your headphones on, and we'll get this interview up and rolling. I want to thank Matthew for calling back. Going to be talking about international travel, traveling in general, and how things have changed because of some kind of a situation going on in the world, Tiger.
Some kind of a situation. So Matthew Brumley from Earthbound Expeditions is joining us this morning. Matthew, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you all?
We're doing well.
Outstanding.
Yeah, thanks for joiing us. How are you
Getting
doing?
a little bit of cabin fever, though.
Yeah,
it would be nice to just go somewhere.
I am dreaming of it every single day.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, right away it comes to mind, during COVID about how restaurants were affected and some stores and gyms that you couldn't go to. But I don't know if that many people think of the travel industry. And really, there's a lot involved in that industry, and I can't imagine anybody that was worse affected.
I can't either. Specifically international travel.
Right.
We saw Hawaii bounce back and holiday spots like, Florida and Southern California and Palm Springs. But, there's a lot of different layers of hoops you have to jump through if you're traveling to Europe or Asia or Central America. So it was just beginning to open up this summer and open up this fall, and I spent a beautiful 2 weeks in Europe in October of this year. So just a couple weeks ago, I was in Europe, and everything was just moving along so beautifully. I mean, the mood was upbeat, the markets were open, the gardens were open, the museums, everything. And there was just kind of a very festive, joyful mood across Europe, and I traveled across 4 countries, and it was really quite easy, and they're very organized. That's what I was really impressed by, is once you downloaded their European Union QR code, health code, or French health pass, you really walked into every single institution, company, museum with ease. You just showed your phone, and they scanned it, and you walked in. And other than wearing a mask, everything felt quite normal. But as we all know, that's changed in the last 10 days. Yeah,
Matthew, I would imagine one of the biggest challenges for you in the travel industry is that every country's got their own template. It's not, one size fits all when you want to travel. So you're dealing with this country has this restriction, this country has those restrictions, and that's got to be just one heck of a challenge, right?
Yes. I'm actually, last time you saw me, I had a full head of hair. Now I'm completely bald.
I like the look, though. It's okay. Good look on you.
Right. No, I would suggest, so here's some tips, because I did have one moment. I had a very successful trip to Europe, and one thing I learned is, and to your point, is if you limit the amount of countries you're traveling to. So let's say Italy is wide open and you go to the U.S. Embassy website in Rome and everything says it's great, come and join us. Then just maybe perhaps stick to Italy or one other country. But the mistake that maybe I made, and of course I don't know if it was a mistake, just, you can't read these things ahead of time, is that we had a trip recently departing that was supposed to go to France, Switzerland, Austria, and Bavaria, and 2 of those countries shut down. So it would have been just easier on us and probably even on our guests if we would have just stuck to France or stuck to Switzerland. So if you're longing to go to return to Europe, I would suggest pick a place, and it's a great way to travel anyway, right? I mean, it's kind of the hub and spoke. You're really getting to know a place like Vienna or Italy or Holland, and you're not racing around like we did in the olden days, that we were just trying to see all of Europe in 2 weeks. So that's one of the things that I would suggest.
And Matthew, I'm sure there's probably not a better time for anybody to really use a travel professional like yourself, because, in the past, people felt they could book their own flights, they can book their own hotels, they can book their own tours, and I'm sure they got by with having a successful trip. But when we get back, we're going to take a break. I want to talk to you about, what you do as a travel professional that would actually help people out. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll continue talking with Matthew Brumley.
And I'm sure people on Facebook Live, they see me wiggling my finger at Tiger in that little circular motion. Of course, that does mean break time. Or we can do this as well, or that. We're going to take a quick break. Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live, back with Matthew Brumley. Tips on traveling around Europe and around the world and what is happening, and obviously some great information for everyone listening as well. Back after this on Biz Talk Radio. And again, thank you for joining us this morning on Garden America. Of course, we talk about a lot of things garden-related today, talking about travel, and we will weave in how traveling and gardening do go together as we continue with our conversation, Tiger, with Matthew Brumley.
Yeah, before the break, I was mentioning there's probably not a better time to use a travel professional like Matthew for your trips because of all the information changing daily, hourly, and flight changes and hotel changes and regulations and things of that sort. So, Matthew, you just said you were on a trip recently where, like we were just mentioning, people haven't been traveling at all. So firsthand what's happening out there, right?
Right. And I actually speak with my European friends and colleagues every day. And then, I'm checking the European news directly, and just trying to get a feeling for what exactly is going on the ground there. Because as we all know, when you're watching news, you get a snapshot of a moment, but it doesn't necessarily, they don't have hours to tell you the whole story. So you get this little snapshot, and then that changes the next day, right? So you have to continually stay on top of this. So one of the things that I would say, here's some tips for you. If you're going to travel to Europe, if you're not going to use a travel professional, do your homework. And the other thing is, if you are going to use a travel professional, make sure that they have a risk-free booking policy in place. So that means, if you sign up for a trip, you have X amount of days to cancel for any reason, get a full refund. So that might be anywhere between, 30 and 120 days or something like that. So you can secure your trip. And the other thing I would say is that book directly with airlines. So a lot of people, like myself included, will use a search engine like Kayak or Expedia, but I would say do not book directly through them, because you could use their search engine to find your best flights and best prices. But once you've found those, go directly to the airline, because if you have a problem and need to cancel or need to postpone, the airlines have a lot more flexibility, and airlines like Delta will either issue a full credit, or Alaskan a full credit, or give you your money back. But typically, it's just they're holding on to credits. Like Icelandic Air just did that to me for my European trip this month. And so you have, a year or two to use your airline ticket. So, so to summarize, don't try to see too many countries. Stay to one or two countries. Book risk-free. And then for airlines, always book directly. And then give them a call if you have problems and issues. One other side note here is that if an airline changes its itinerary by X amount of hours, I think it's like 3 hours, 4 hours, you have the right to a full refund. And right now, almost every airline is changing its flight schedule in Europe, often. So the chances are your ticket's going to be fully refundable anyway. Okay. So those are some great tips if you're thinking about heading over to Europe. And then lastly, I would say is there's huge psychological benefits to dreaming and looking forward to something in your life, myself included. I'm always booking trips, and I've had to cancel, 3/4 of them. But I love having that thing out there that excites me, and just kind of it helps me dream and helps me look forward. And there's a lot of positive benefits to that. So I would go ahead and start thinking about spring travel and then, of course, make sure that it's risk-free, or at least that you receive your credits. Those are my tips.
Yeah, that's some great information. And one of the other things, my parents recently went to France. They went to Paris.
Right?
And
Yeah.
they just stayed in Paris. Real, just central. Just stayed there in Paris, and they ran into a situation where, kind of like what you were saying, Matthew, where they have their QR code. They had these emails that they needed to do for their travel, but they were in French, and it wasn't really easily translated. And one email came across, and it looked like a positive COVID test, but it was, meanwhile, in French, it was just explaining if you have a positive COVID test. But, my mom's like, oh, my gosh, we tested positive. What are we going to do, kind of a thing. When you have local guides, local people you're working with, they're going to be able to easily translate, prepare you for that kind of information, right?
That's right. And just remember, Europe has a first-rate medical, healthcare system. So when you head over to a place like Europe, that's the other thing. Another tip: stick to the first world right now. The developed world, and to countries that have a great healthcare system. And just note that, when you're walking into, let's say, a restaurant, a bar, a cafe, or even a museum, one of my friends who was over there before I got there this October, I said, what is that like? I kind of imagine people in lab coats or police officers checking everyone.
Yeah.
When it's, in fact, students who basically work at bars who are 19-year-old Frenchmen, or ladies, who are checking they are checking everything, but it's not quite as formal as you would imagine it would be. It's more, and everyone's getting used to it, just like here. So it's kind of, everything's par for the course. The mood is pretty upbeat. People aren't, there's no edge to it. Like as you get off the plane to the United States and arrive in Paris, I hope your parents had the same experience that I did. But it's pretty much show your health card, show your CDC card, your passport, and away you go.
Yeah, it was.
But they had a good time?
Yes, they had a blast. They really enjoyed it. And
how long were they there for? 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, no, they had a blast.
What's involved in getting that QR code? I mean, how do you do that?
It's pretty easy. So I think, I'm not sure if it was John or Brian, but one of you mentioned that every country has its own. They're trying to unify that across Europe. It's the European Green Card or Green Pass. And what it is it's basically you upload your CDC card, your flimsy cardboard CDC cards that we all have.
Right.
And you upload that. You upload your travel documents so they know you're heading over there. So let's see, your airline tickets. And then if you have already made a hotel reservation or you have an itinerary through, let's say, a tour company, you upload that and your passport, of course, and then wait about 2 days to 7 days. And then they'll email you, and you upload that, and they give you a QR code. And then there's an app. All the countries have an app, and they use those apps. It sounds, it does sound complicated and daunting. And if you're challenged why can't I say that this morning?
Technically challenged.
Yeah, thank you. Most people know a teenager, right? Somewhere in the vicinity.
Yeah.
Call them in because some people are challenged with their smartphones and the apps and all that, but there's always someone you can find, around that can help you do that. But we just had this trip departing. I was supposed to be in Innsbruck today, and as you know, Austria shut down completely. But today I was supposed to be in Innsbruck, and I was heading to Munich in Bavaria. But every one of our passengers was able to get that QR code either from the Swiss, the French, or the Austrians. And then once you get one, they're interchangeable, just so you know. Tiger, those can be used. So the French Health Pass can be used in Switzerland, Germany, and Austria across Europe.
Okay.
So just once you get one, you're in. You're in the door.
Perfect.
It's like anything else. Once you do it once, you get it. It sounds daunting, upload, download, do this, copy that, scan that. And you're like, whoa.
Right. And, of course, the most difficult part of travel is getting through the airport. If that's the day before, I'm always like, oh, here we go. So you get into the airport, and once you get there, everything feels quite normal. Now, we'll have to wait and see about this new variant, and how this plays out. But we are pushing ahead. Everyone has to assume right now that things will get better, or maybe perhaps you'd rather assume things will get worse. I prefer to assume things are going to get better here.
I'm with you.
in the coming months, and that this new variant is going to become like, the common cold / flu, whatever it becomes. And it won't be as, it won't be as harsh and potentially, deadly as the last one. So we're pushing ahead with all spring trips, and we'll see what happens. Of course, we won't go if the situation isn't, good on the ground. But right now, we're planning on spring travel, and we're looking forward to it. I cannot wait. Wait to get going again.
And I can't wait to chat with you about some more tips on traveling and getting into people's gardens again. And we're going to have to take another break here right now, Matthew. But when we get back, I want to talk to you about, some tips on people that are traveling. They want to see gardens. They want to see plants. They want to see nurseries, and what tips you have for them to be able to do that well, and what they need to look for in that travel. So, again, we're talking with Matthew Brumley with Earthbound Expeditions, and we're going to take a quick break and come back. Nicely done, Tiger. When we return, we're going to talk to Tiger about him getting into people's gardens. Little awkward there. But that said, a break on Biz Talk Radio Facebook Live. Coming back with Matthew Brumley after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. We are back, and welcome back to the show. Those listening on Biz Talk Radio, this is the final segment of hour number one. You've got news coming up top of the hour, and a lot of our great sponsors on Biz Talk Radio, and returning at 6 minutes after. Those on Facebook Live, it's one continuous loop here. We just keep on rolling along. Our guest this morning from Earthbound Expeditions, Matthew Brumley, and we're just getting into talking about what may be happening during the spring, Tiger. Yeah, Matthew, and you lead quite a number of expeditions around the world, whether it's music, art, or gardens. And, we've done a few with you. And, one of the special things is getting into places that maybe people just aren't aware of, meaning, sometimes we're into people's literal backyards, and then there's other exclusive nurseries or public gardens that you also get into as well. What are some tips that people can take from you if they are traveling and they want to see the local plants?
Well, I would say, you could start off, of course, with a great travel company who has spent months and months and months planning these things out. So we sit every day and we contact specialty providers, our partners and colleagues in Europe. And if we don't know, let's say a specific region like the back of our hand, we'll call somebody who does, an insider, who will get us into places that, are simply not open to the public. Some of these places are almost impossible to get into and take months and months of work to do so. So in that case, I would say, look for a great operator that has already planned these things out, or start planning months ahead. And I suppose everyone has some time here this winter that if you want to do that, you can actually start with, let's say, the tourist office of each region that you're going to and ask them if they have any garden connections, any specific. And a lot of times there's garden clubs. So you can type in, let's say, garden clubs of England, garden clubs of Ireland. I oftentimes will do that and then contact the director there, and they might be able to arrange something for you. Okay. Another tip is go to Google and type in garden festivals. Let's say you want to go to Spain.
Yeah.
There's a great garden festival in outside of Sevilla in the town of Cordoba, and it's the patio festival in the springtime. So they open up their homes for 3 days, these gorgeous homes in Cordoba in the south of Spain. And they're just absolutely spectacular and precious and very private and very intimate. And they open up their homes, and you can walk into them and explore these beautiful kind of secret gardens of southern Spain. So there's garden festivals as well. And so garden clubs, garden festivals. But if you're going to try to get into homes, plan ahead. I mean, we're talking like at least 3 months ahead. And that usually isn't on somebody's radar, when they're heading over to Holland or something like that.
Okay. And, you had mentioned you guys are planning this spring to fully operate tours, and I know we have a tour planned with you as well for this spring. What is
crossed, right?
Yeah,
Your
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
So, what are some things that you guys do specifically on your tours that, make them different? Because we're not just going into public gardens that you can basically Google, right?
Right, and we're going into Old Dutch. Well, let's talk about the trip.
Mm-hmm.
So we are heading over for the Tulip Festival in mid-April, so April 17th through the 26th, to Holland, which, officially Holland is called the Netherlands. So Holland is only a district within, or a region, a province within the Netherlands. So we're going over to the Netherlands, and we're heading also over to Belgium. And we're going to spend 3 nights in Amsterdam and then 3 nights over in Ghent, which is just a gorgeous place as well. And then we're heading towards the area of The Hague and Delft, where Delft pottery is from and Vermeer, the great artist, was from. And what we're doing is we're going to, of course, visit the tulip fields, which is phenomenal. We're going to the flower auction, which is fascinating. It's the largest flower auction in the world, called Aalsmeer. And you have to arrange that ahead of time. And you go in and you arrive early in the morning and you see gentlemen and ladies from all over the world in an auction room, literally bidding on millions and millions of dollars worth of flowers from all over the planet. And right below the auction room, there's forklifts and a giant warehouse the size of like a Boeing aircraft, factory. Huge. It's massive. And there's flowers being literally zoomed around the floor in all directions as people are purchasing them.
Wow.
So we're going to be doing that. And then we're going to visit some Dutch farmers. They're very productive people over there. We're going to meet some farmers. And then we're going into some homes, some old 17th century Dutch homes. And behind the homes, there's these gorgeous little gardens. And we're going to be meeting the folks who own the homes and the gardens and have created these spaces, these very special places. So we're just going to have a blast. And then on top of it, we're going to learn about Dutch history, Dutch waterways, learn about the Dutch masters, Rembrandt, Frans Hal, Vermeer, and see some great museums, and then eat some great cheese, go to some great markets, and then have some good Dutch beer.
It's funny, Matthew, because I think most people travel. The food is usually a big hit for people when they're traveling. The art, the location itself, but when you add this local, like you're talking about farmers and stuff, that's how you find out where the food came from. That's how you find out why. This market with all the flowers, like that is going to like Wall Street for the flower industry kind of a thing. And so, it's giving you an in-depth view of something that normally you wouldn't see. And, it's such a neat take on travel to be able to do more than just eat and drink wherever you go.
And it's really tapping into the culture.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, you've always been interested in painting, and I know you were looking forward to seeing the Dutch boy while you were over there.
Right, and I believe that was painted by numbers, John.
Yeah. But
there's a great museum, of course, the National Museum, which is the Reichs Museum, and it's on the Museum Plein, which is the museum plots or square. And so inside that museum, you have all the the wonderful old Dutch masters that look like they belong on cigar boxes. The Night Watch, Rembrandt's work,
Dutch masters,
And just across the street, literally, you could throw a stone and hit it. Is the Van Gogh Museum. One of the largest collections of Van Gogh's. He did so much of landscapes and the countryside, and his works are all there. So if you love art, you're going to the right place.
Yeah.
I think we saw a lot of Van Gogh paintings last time we went to France. Do you remember? They were having an exhibit, and I think some of those might have come from Holland.
I think so, too. And we also visited his location where he spent many years.
Right. Involuntarily.
Right. I think he went to the town of Arles, right?
Yeah.
So that's where he lived for several years before heading to the north of France. So that's the great thing. You get to learn about food. You get to learn about the gardens, art, culture, history. The goal here is to really walk away from a great trip like that with a lifetime of wonderful memories, and then feeling like you really got to know a place and that you probably want to go back. These are such spectacular places. You could spend a lifetime there, but we're going to use our time wisely and really dive deep into Dutch culture.
All right. Hey, Matthew, we got to take another break. When we come back, we'll continue talking with Matthew Brumley with Earthbound Expeditions.
Those on Biz Talk Radio. News coming up top of the hour. We're back at 6 minutes after, even quicker on Facebook Live. Stay with us. We have returned. Thank you so much for spending part of your weekend with us, or perhaps you're watching this show on your own time at some other date and time, and we do appreciate that. You can go to our YouTube channel, Garden America Radio, watch all of our shows. Be sure to like and subscribe on a big campaign to boost our subscribers, liking and subscribing, same way on Facebook. So all that we do appreciate here on Garden America. We are talking to Matthew Brumley from Earthbound Expeditions, talking about traveling, and we're just now tapping into some possible springtime traveling with Matthew and Garden America Tiger as we turn things right back to you.
Yeah, and Matthew, one of the things you mentioned in the one of our first spots is looking for a company that's going to be able to guarantee your travel. And this trip that we're planning with you out there to Holland is a trip that you are guaranteeing, right?
Well, so to be clear, it's guaranteeing it's protecting your financial investment in the trip. So it's risk-free booking, which means that right now you can sign up and receive a full refund for any reason. I mean, you don't really need to tell us why. Just say, I'm not going by February 15th, and you'll receive a full refund. And if, what we've done over the last couple of years, and every travel company and every airline, is that we'll push that back. So if you call in and say, let's say in February, I'd really love to go. Can I have another week or two? We would honor that. So that's the really great thing, is that it's risk-free.
Yeah. And so I just posted a link onto the Facebook Live feed, and on our website, we do have a link to see this trip where they can find out the itinerary, the details, different information about the trip that we're going to be taking with you, and kind of what we're going to see. And one of the things we haven't mentioned yet is being able to attend a event there, which happens, what was it, only every 10?
Once every 10 years.
10 years.
It's an international gardening event called the Plumerias.
Yeah, and even with all the travel risk, I mean, this is something that, for some people might be their only opportunity to actually go to this. So if you can kind of securely, place this travel for this opportunity, why not?
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be able to do it again, possibly.
Yeah.
That's right. So you could book the trip now.
Mm-hmm.
I would say hold off on your airline ticket, or I'm a big fan of Delta. If you book with them or another airline, just make sure you'll receive a full credit. And those credits, by the way, usually can be used for 1 to 2 years, and they're good domestically too. So if you want, you could use your credits to go to Florida or wherever. With regards to the land portion of the trip, we'll refund all the funds if for some reason you can't go or decide that you're not going to go. But you're right, Tiger. The only time this comes to Holland is once every 10 years, the Floriade Garden Expo. They're creating a whole, acres and acres and acres of new gardens and new ideas and new techniques on how to garden. And it's going to be fascinating. So not only are we going to go to the Floriade, which only happens every 10 years, but we're going to see the tulips. We're going to the Ellesmere Flower Auction. We're going to go out to farms. We're going to meet farmers. We're going to meet gardeners. We're going to do so many wonderful things on this trip. And it's just a spectacular time to be in. It's literally the best time to be in the Netherlands.
Most people are traveling to the Netherlands at that time anyways, in the sense of just to see the Netherlands at that moment. But
because of the tulips.
Because of the tulips.
Yeah.
Right. But now we get this opportunity to be doing all these other things. And as we were saying, even if you were to go by yourself, it's very difficult to do some of the things that we're going to be doing, because it takes months and months of planning.
Yeah.
And then now, even then with all of the restrictions, like Matthew's doing all the homework for us about how we get into these events and what we have to do to get into these events. So, lots of fun stuff planned on the horizon with Matthew. And Matthew, but I don't want to leave out. You guys do have other trips that you plan, right? And you have all those posted on your guys' website as well, right?
We do. We do at earthboundexpeditions.com. Every trip is tailor-made. Every trip has a theme. So it's gardening, art, classical music, dance, jazz festivals. And one of the things that I love about gardeners, I have to tell you something, is they are some of the most kind, fun, and easygoing people I've ever traveled with in my life.
Shucks.
They are just great.
Yeah.
I mean, they're always, they just have a great attitude towards life. And if you show a someone who's passionate about gardening, if you go spend a couple days out, looking at flower auction, tulip fields and everything, it's just the conversations that you have together as a community, as a garden community, coming together at night over a glass of, wine or a beer and a great dinner, which we'll be doing.
Yep.
The camaraderie is one of the things I have to say I miss the most. Is that group experience where you have the opportunity to share with like-minded people, share your passions, and I'm really looking forward to that.
The gardening group tours are better than the ones you used to set up for lawyers, I believe.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah. And I would say my final tip here is, when you travel, and this was even before the pandemic, but when you travel now, make sure to pack a sense of humor and patience, and just remember to be kind. We're all in this together, and and the biggest hurdle you'll have is just getting through the airport and getting over there. Once you get over there, you'll find that everything is just kind of clicking away and running smoothly, and the Europeans are incredibly organized. And it's impressive. I mean, I think you'll be just so pleasantly surprised. And I can't wait to travel with the three of you.
We can't wait either, Matthew. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us this weekend. Good luck on everything. Good luck on your travels. And we'll keep updating our listeners with more information as the trip comes closer.
Great. Right. Well, happy holidays to all of you and to all of your listeners. And I hope to see you in Europe.
Fingers crossed.
Take care.
Yep. Thank you so much, Matthew. Do appreciate it. Matthew Brumley, that picture that you put in the newsletter, I think of him or Facebook. I looked at the background. Looks like Monte Carlo. Looks like where we were a few years ago, John.
I didn't look at it that closely.
Yeah, I was looking at the background saying, I wonder where he is here in this picture.
I have another travel tip that my wife would give. And if you're going on an 11-day tour, make sure you have 14 pairs of shoes.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that is a big tip from your wife. Now, we should mention, just to clarify things here for those listening and watching, that this is preliminary. We're hoping that it can happen, but it's basically day by day, week by week, month by month.
Yeah, we just don't know.
We just don't know. So
if we have anything to say, we're going.
Yeah,
right?
And it's a fantastic trip. So take that for what it's worth. We'd love to have you along. We'd love to travel with you again, or those that have never gone with us. It's a great time, but we'll see what happens. And again, it's a no-risk thing because of the situation, so we'll just see what happens.
Well, Brian, you're getting up there in years, right?
Yeah, I'll be 39 next. Well, I just turned 39. I'm sorry.
And with the Floriad only, every 10 years, this could be your last chance.
Do you think he's talking about somebody else and he's using me as his little pond here?
I was going to say that during the interview with Matthew, but then I was like, no, I won't go there.
That's mean, right?
Yeah.
No.
That's what you were thinking.
One last chance.
Yeah.
Anyway, fantastic trip. I mean, if it comes to fruition, my gosh, can you imagine that?
Yeah, I mean, and
he didn't even talk about the beer tasting, Tiger.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much more.
Yeah.
And like I was saying, people are going to go to Holland for the Tulip Festival during this time of year
anyway. Yeah.
And if you're thinking cost, okay, when I did the math for the England trip,
right,
it was a bargain for what you got, in terms of admissions to places, the transportation alone. If you're considering getting there and taking taxis, Ubering, trying to get on shuttles, we would just walk out of our beautiful hotel every morning,
into
straight into a bus, everything's
all planned
van,
out. Everything's planned out,
and They knew exactly where to take us.
What about in England? We went to Cambridge, right?
Yeah.
And who gave us the tour? One of the students.
One of the students.
Right.
That,
Sure.
not only was it one of the students, but we lucked out on this. It was one of the students that lives in town.
Right.
So not only was this a student that knew about Cambridge or Oxford.
Oh, that's
Oxford.
right, Oxford.
But it was a student that actually is from there. So
All right, we're going to take a break. John's going to clear his throat. Shorter break on Facebook Live. Those on Biz Talk Radio. Once again, you can always catch our show live every Saturday, 8:06 on the Pacific West Coast. Pacific West Coast. I could have just said West Coast. Eastern Time Zone, 11:06 to watch us live. We are going to take that break back after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. Welcome back to the show. My goodness gracious, having a good time here on Garden America. We can talk about gardening now. We can talk about anything you want to talk about. Maybe something's going on in your backyard. Something's not blooming. When will it bloom? Is it deciduous? Is it dormant? What's going on? The 2 Ds, right?
All right. So how is your hibiscus doing?
Not bad. I got just a recent bloom and a huge bloom, but the other one is not doing well.
So I was looking for something in my yard to bring in for show and tell, and a lot of people have been asking, and I had nothing potted. I have a few orchids that are budded. I was hoping they would have been blooming, so I could have brought those in.
I should have brought my bloom in. That's what I
always get excited when I can make an orchid bloom again. I feel successful.
Do you force it?
Yeah. But I have a Hula Girl hibiscus, which is the yellow with the kind of the red center.
Which is not the same Hula Girl on your truck and your dashboard?
No, different. Yeah.
Okay.
But I've got 8-9 flowers on it, just looking spectacular right now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. So, I mean, I was going to bring in some flowers, but I was like, maybe those aren't as.
No, I should have brought in because
right
now is when it's really in its top form.
Yeah.
Big, huge hibiscus.
Yeah.
But the other one's a little sickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my Plumerias are all still blooming. Yeah, I got it.
Well, those should be shutting down pretty soon.
They should be, yeah. I mean, I've seen some that have already started to lose the leaves. They're starting to turn yellow.
Yeah, my leaves are getting yellow.
Yeah, this weather turn. It's finally cool. You know, we've been,
right.
The Plumerias have actually been loving the heat.
Yeah, have you had the dense fog in your area in the morning too?
Yeah. I don't even need to water like you said anymore.
No,
it's
everything's
so dense.
Damn. Yeah, which is nice because we're leaving, on our vacation here next week, and it's like not going to worry.
Yeah, it's all right.
If I go to Santa Ana,
when you leave, the day you leave, we'll get a Santa Ana.
And if I leave in the summertime, then I stress that they're being taken care of.
Who's
I know
taking care of the
John
cats?
has put his plants in the care of some very warm and friendly family members, and things didn't always turn up.
Who's taking care of the
way you
cats while
thought.
you're going?
What's that?
Who's taking care of the cats?
Oh, we're taking him to the Purring Parrot. It's a place that
The purring parrot.
it's not the place that you used to hang out. This is a different place, John. The Purring Parrot is a place that's
Sounds like a dive bar.
I know.
It is. That's so awesome.
Or something else. But they board exotic birds and cats only. So the cats can look at the birds, and they have different themed rooms.
That's kind of teasing them.
Our cats are going to be in the undersea room. There's fish tanks in there.
Oh, wow.
They take care of them. They play with them every day. There's wonderful staff, and they have cameras.
The cats play with the fish every day?
The people that work there, the volunteers,
Right.
and paid
They play
employees,
with the
they
fish.
play with the cats. There's cameras in there. I can log on.
So
We get a
confused.
report each day. It's wonderful.
I kind of
place.
felt like you just could have left them at your house, and it's like you leave a big bowl of food, and then you have the fish tank, and you have the cats, and they just kind of take care of each other.
You know what? I don't trust them. Let me ask you this. Would you leave your 10 and 11-year-old kids home alone for a week?
No way.
Even if they could fend for themselves?
That's not even an option. 10 or 11 alone for a week.
Well, and you'd come home and the place would be trashed.
CPS would be called on me.
But I'm saying, assuming that they could take care of themselves, right?
Yeah.
I'm not leaving those cats by themselves. They would be taking stuff off the walls. There would be no.
They do that when you're home.
Exactly.
But if that was a 10-year-old dog, it would be 70 years old.
Yeah.
Well, these
You would
cats-
leave a
Much-
70-year-old at home. to take care of
Well, you
themselves.
stay home by yourself all the time. What are you talking about? But no, the answer is I'm much better with them being cared for.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
They take good care of them, and it's
The
a wonderful
purring
place.
parrot.
We boarded them when we went to Europe, John, two or three times.
Same place.
The purring parrot. In fact, they've expanded. They had a little place. Now they're down here off the freeway. And wonderful place if you're listening in San Diego.
I don't even have any pets, and
I want to go
now. I'm thinking if our trip goes on, I'm going to get a parrot.
Yeah.
Just so that I can board
Board
it
them at
there.
the purring parrot.
Yeah. Hey,
purring
Carla wants to know if I got her email about the rose she won in the auction. And yes, I did, and I will send it out on Monday.
All right.
There's I think, 2 or 3 orders I still have to send in Monday.
Good morning to you, Rick. Appreciate you checking in this morning. Hello there.
And then Carolyn brought this up. We were just talking about plumerias, and she said that some of hers are blooming also. They think she's over in Corona Del Mar, Newport Beach area.
It still has been pretty warm. It's just now getting cool.
But one of the things I wanted to mention that we don't usually think of is there are evergreen plumeria.
I did not know that.
Right. They're the ones that are more tender. They don't, for instance, inland, they probably would struggle more than the deciduous plumeria. But there are evergreen plumerias, too. Different species.
Interesting. Wow, that would.
If you listen to the show, you're always going to hear something interesting.
That's my surprise info of the week.
And usually the evergreen ones come in dwarf forms also. So for people who want to grow just plumerias in pots because they don't have, a large area for a tree, get the evergreen ones.
The more you talk about it, the better it sounds. And what else, John?
Well, I almost bought, there's a plumeria called Fantasia, also a winner of American Idol a few years back. But this it's a striped bloom, and I think I've killed it twice, and I almost was thinking of ordering another one. But Brad's Buds and Blooms is a mail order place
Brad's Buds and Blooms.
Right. It sounds like a place to board your plants while you're on vacation.
The 3 Bs.
But it's $99 for a rooted cutting. And so I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to try this again, especially going into winter.
Well, you said you killed the same plant twice.
Fantasia.
So you brought it back to life if you technically killed it.
It wasn't the same plant. It was the same variety.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I've killed the same variety twice.
So, right. I mean, but if you were going to get a plumeria...
Killed Helen Keller 4 times.
She keeps coming back, doesn't she?
It's the rose. I'm going to try a 5th time.
Now, what is it about that rose that you're having a problem with? Is it something? Is it hard to take care of? What is it?
Neglect. It's terminal neglect.
And not benign neglect,
of other
just
roses
terminal neglect. Okay.
That he has. And he forgets her. But if you were going to, John, if you were going to do a plumeria cutting, probably what? April? Last chance of frost?
Even May.
May
would be
to be
better.
on the
then
safe
you'd be
side.
Because you want hot weather.
Yeah, so you'd be good after May then.
Right.
Or in May you would.
You don't know if yours have rooted yet, do you?
No, but it's doing this thing right now. Okay, one of them has rooted. One of the ones
you know
that you
that
gave
for
me,
sure?
I know it for sure. There's the other. Okay, so the one with the variegated foliage has rooted. Okay, the other one you gave me.
Weren't they both variegated?
I feel like, but the one with the pink in pinkish variegation.
Right, there were 2 different types of
has
variegation.
Rooted. The other one, it did this thing where it leafed, they all fell off, and then it leafed again, and now they all fell off again. So it's teasing me. It's teasing.
We're going to take a break here, but the plumeria that you gave me, that little small pot, I transplanted it, doing quite well, but the leaves now I noticed are getting a little yellow and peaked and
they should.
Ready to go night-night.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so we're going to take a break. We have 2 more segments coming up right here on Facebook Live and Biz Talk Radio. So questions, comments, let's keep them rolling in here. Fall into winter, the holidays, a lot of things happening here, and we'll be here for you here on Garden America. All right, back in the show. We're on Facebook Live and Biz Talk Radio. And if you're on Facebook Live watching us right now, we can chat back and forth, and we'll take it from there.
Hey, you know what? Tiger mentioned this last week, but I had turned him on to a Facebook site. Gosh. And I was thinking when we got home, we didn't give you had mentioned that you thought it was rare plants. I think it's called really rare plants, right?
Yeah.
So on Facebook, if you become a member of really rare plants, it's amazing the information that you get on there.
People sharing their interest.
I'm just fascinated looking at all plants you never even thought existed.
Yeah, and like I was saying, a lot of these are not necessarily ones that people are growing.
Right.
You know, they're not potted. These are pictures of these plants
out in the wild,
in nature, growing
that
where
they've come across.
Yes, and it's pretty spectacular to see them growing in rock formations, growing in a forest, in the middle of a forest, stuff like that. And it's actually got me looking around where I go. Have you heard of the Annie's Trail up there near Del Mar? It's a little along.
Is it a hiking trail?
Yeah, along one of the lagoons up near Del Mar. It's got what they call slot canyons, where kids they can climb up in these little canyons and things. I was walking through there, and I was looking down the whole time to look for something
to try to stumble across something
flowering, and there's little fun native plants that you stumble across. So lots of good stuff. And speaking of rare or native plants, yesterday we were working on a project installing a landscape for someone, and they didn't have any irrigation. So for San Diego, that's really rare. But we were planting some salvia, some olives, some bottle brushes, some grevillea. And I was telling him, like, man, you picked the perfect day for this planting. It was overcast, cloudy, cool. The water's going to stay there for 3 days.
Are they putting in a system or not?
No, they're not. They're just going to water it all by hand. But I mean, right now is the time of year for San Diego. If you want to install a landscape, it's a good time to do it.
Especially native landscapes.
Yeah.
What's that native plant nursery that we had on one time?
Moosa Creek?
Creek, right.
Yeah,
right.
Moosa Creek Nursery, yeah.
I got a Margarita Bop.
Oh, goodness.
Penstemon from them that I've kept in a pot all summer, and it's going to go in the ground now.
That would be the time, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to put any Matilla hot poppies on your property? Do you have any?
I don't have any. I don't know. I never thought of Matillahas before because I didn't have enough room, right?
Yep.
But, now I've got hillsides and things that I think they'd be great.
What about your poppies?
My California poppies?
Yeah.
They're still leafing, no flowers yet.
Right, a little bit early.
Yeah.
Do you know the common name of Matillaha poppy? You would think, actually, Matillaha poppy is one of the common names.
Yeah.
The other one is the fried egg plant.
Yep.
Fried egg plant.
Right, fried egg plant.
Right.
Not fried eggplant.
And not eggplant.
Right.
I don't know how petals do that. Like the reason why they call it the fried eggplant is it has white flower petals, big white ones, like the size of your hand,
with a yolk in the center.
With a yellow center. But the white flower petals are crinkly. Is that the way you can describe it?
Yeah.
So unlike
and they're supposed to look like that.
Yeah, they're supposed to look like
right.
that. And unlike most flowers, which are smooth, flowers are always smooth. Look at roses.
Yeah.
They're very
sure.
smooth petals. Somehow this plant crinkles its flower petals. It's pretty cool.
It's in the DNA.
Yeah. Is that what it is?
Programmed to do that.
Yeah. Did you work on that?
Tiger, I do things that, I don't want to brag. I'm humble.
Did you happen to read the article in the newsletter?
No.
About, I was going to ask what your experience has been with
what was
this is live radio. Dead air. Warning.
Well, I'm thinking of the old name for this product, and I think it has a resurgence because of the marijuana growers.
Okay.
And I think if you want to find what's new in gardening and what really works well, you've got to look at the cannabis growers.
Go to the cannabis growers and the websites because they're in. They'll tell you.
It's not. Right. That's where the money is right now.
Yeah. Well, this article was on the Harpon Protein that I wrote.
Okay.
And I wondered if you had any experience with that.
No.
Because years ago, they discontinued it. There was a product out called Messenger.
Yeah.
And now there's a new one out that the cannabis growers are using. It's called Axiom.
Okay.
And
And does the same thing as Messenger?
it's the same.
Same.
I think even the same company.
Oh, okay. So
But
they just
it's
changed the name.
Right. It's the Harpon Protein. And the Harpon Protein is produced by plants when they're under attack to boost their immune system.
Okay, sure.
So it was used to control fire blight.
Right.
In like pears, evergreen pears get fire blight.
Yeah, and a lot of other things too. They used them on, I think, the oleander. Like, there's a lot of
Right.
different things they used it on.
Right.
For sure.
And so you could spray a plant with the Harpon Protein. The plant would think it was under attack and boost its immune system. So it's going to start fighting off diseases. It would be almost like you getting a vaccination.
Exactly. I'm thinking the same thing. Exactly.
Right.
To boost your immune system.
Right. And because of that, because of the boosted immune system, you get stronger plants, you get more blooms, you get more fruit. It was Messenger, when it first came out, was
We used to talk about that a lot.
we
Messenger.
did, yeah, and it was aimed at rose growers.
Yep.
And it was before. It was when rose growing was on the wane, before knockout roses and things like that came around, and so it was a small market that they were after, and to produce chemicals is really, even though it's not a chemical, it's naturally,
Right.
Protein.
but it's organic, but it. I probably lost my train of thought.
Yeah, but most of what you
But
said.
anyway, it was a small market, so that's why they went out
Yeah.
of business. But now cannabis is a much larger market.
They brought it right back.
And they brought it back under the name Axiom, Axiom.
And I've noticed that the few cannabis growers that I've talked to, they go well beyond cannabis. Their knowledge on plants and horticulture is like, oh, let me tell you about when I grew this and that and what we've done with the cannabis. And I'm like, whoa. I mean, they're so into it.
Yeah.
I mean, really into it.
Now, John, is this something that you just do annually, or do you have to do it regularly, like once a month kind of a thing?
No, I think
yeah.
it's like, I think one spring. You'd have to read. You should always follow the label, Tiger.
Well, I think what John's saying
But
is
I
you
think
do
it's
two,
like-
two sprays and then a booster.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You took the words right out of my mouth. But I think it is like maybe every 3 months during the growing season.
Okay.
So maybe 2 or 3 times. That
Okay.
would be it. But anyway, you can Google it, or you can read my article.
Yeah.
And
Hey, let's read John's article. Let's push that newsletter. It's a fantastic newsletter. You can go to our website,
actually,
gardenamerica.com.
but full disclosure, no one who signs up for the newsletter is getting it now.
Why is that?
Why not? What do you do?
Because
talking
the
about?
Russians have infiltrated our website, so I'm not posting any. But I don't know. That's something you need to talk to our
Okay.
tech guy
Talk to
about.
our IT guy because you have to have the newsletter. Here's something: if you get the newsletter, forward it on to your friends.
There you go.
That's what I do. I just people that aren't subscribed, I just
For a
forward it to
small
them.
fee.
Start sending it to people.
Yeah, random people.
You give me $5 a week, I'll forward my newsletter to you.
No, we don't share your information. We don't take money for it. We just do it because that's the kind of people we are, John. Come on.
Oh, all right.
But the newsletter's great. But go to our website anyway
Yeah.
and click around.
If you do email me directly to john@gardenamerica.com, I will sign you up for the newsletter.
Really?
Yeah, be happy to do that. I've
Okay.
done that for several people.
All right. John at gardenamerica.com. He will sign you up for the newsletter. That's how we're getting around the Russians.
Right. But we probably have a waiting list of 500 people for the newsletter.
Seriously?
Right now. Oh, seriously.
Okay.
But when their email address ends in yandex.com,
And a lot of upside down letters.
yeah, it's
Okay, John at gardenamerica.com if
Although-
you're legit.
And if you wait a week, and it's nothing like getting the newsletter because you get it before everyone else. If you wait a week and you go to our website,
Yes.
we do post the article
Yeah.
on our website.
It's on our website, and I think, are we still putting it on Facebook too?
Garden America, the newsletter.
Oh, we
Yes.
do a link
Yes.
to it,
We
right?
do a link to
We
it.
do a link.
Well, you don't even need to get
Nah,
the
but
newsletter
people
directly.
want it right away. They want to know what's happening. They want to be
Before.
the first to
You
know.
want to be the first to know.
Don't read it after the fact. Read it before the fact.
You're already a day behind.
John at gardenamerica.com. Become a newsletter subscriber, or we will find you. And when we find you, We'll
Yeah,
do things.
there is a lot of great information there that you don't find anywhere else.
That's true. And John does a wonderful job, too. Great newsletter once a week. Got a few minutes, not a few minutes, actually a few moments before we take our break. You got something for us, Tiger?
No, I'm playing with the camera.
Playing with the camera.
Yeah.
I was Christmas shopping there for a second. Sorry.
Well, I'll tell you what.
But John mentioned Christmas trees, and we are getting in Christmas trees. Right now is the time of year for native plants, at the nursery.
Right. What about poinsettias?
They're-
How's that supply been this year?
Supply, I don't know. Poinsettias are one of those things that, the box stores took that whole market over. And so
But what about all the different colors and things? Don't people still want
Let's talk
those?
about this after the break.
All right.
And John's got to go meet some people, too, so I want to make sure we stay on time. So we have one more segment coming up. We're going to be talking about Christmas trees. Anything else on your mind on Facebook Live, be sure to post it right there at Chit Chat. And we'll be back after this break. One more segment coming up, but we have messages, first of all, coming your way on Biz Talk Radio. Stay with us. All right, we are back from that very short break on Facebook Live. A bit longer on Biz Talk Radio because you get to listen to our great sponsors, people who support the show, so on and so forth. Now, Christmas trees and poinsettias. Tiger's like, the poinsettias, poinsettias.
The colors, one thing, and I don't know if this is good or bad. So they have October, I believe, October, November is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So they released a pink poinsettia, which became kind of popular. So it was a pink poinsettia, and they made it they made it come a little earlier, and now they also have an orange poinsettia
For Thanksgiving. Right.
So they're stretching the poinsettia season now. So I'm sure probably New Year's they're going to have some poinsettia that has fireworks or something.
There's also a prostate awareness month for men.
Which poinsettia should we?
So there should be a blue one, right? You'd think?
That'd be good. You should do it.
Blue would be good for Hanukkah.
Oh, there you go. Blue and white poinsettias.
There you go.
You
got a bunch of these mad scientists in labs.
Do they still have, it's been a while since I've been involved with selling poinsettias, but I remember Monet was one of my favorites. Is that still out?
Yep, Monet is still out.
Yeah, because I haven't seen that in any of the box stores.
Well, like I was saying, it's kind of hard to find some of the varieties because in the box store they're gonna have the red, they're gonna have the white.
Yeah.
They're not producing the unique ones, and it's just not happening. So you have to go to a garden center, and then at that time we're also restricted with who's supplying them, and so we're up to whoever dictates what they want to grow.
In San Diego, the Eckies used to produce great poinsettias.
And you used to be able to get anything you wanted because
Paul
Eckie had it.
Right.
Paul Eckie?
Right.
Yeah.
Paul
Eckie
Eckie Jr. was the last one.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the good thing though about poinsettias that they have done is that they have made them a bit hardier of a plant, so they don't break as easy.
Do they last a little longer?
They last a little longer. So that is nice, for a seasonal plant because poinsettias were always one that did break real easily. So you got to be careful with them.
I remember, this is probably now close to 20 years ago.
Oh, goodness.
But there was a resurgence in people wanting the double poinsettia.
Oh, yeah.
The one that you see growing out in roadsides.
Yeah.
And that was an old variety called Henrietta Haig.
Really?
And, and who was it? Widener's, about 20 years ago, did a crop of them because they had
Evelyn
so
Widener.
many requests, right?
Well, they could probably have just grabbed cuttings and done it themselves.
That's the way they did it.
Is that the way they did it? Okay. Yeah.
And if the only way to get them now, I think, is if you see one growing on the side of the road. Stopping and
a little more than 20 years ago, you and I were doing the same thing here.
Some things never change.
Yeah, right back at the old building when you'd fill in for Bruce, and I was producing the show.
Oh, I was filling in for Bruce longer than 20 years ago.
No, but I mean, as far as you and I, I'm talking about this little relationship here.
thought our relationship was about 20 years.
A little more than that. Late 90s.
You guys don't have an anniversary? Take each other out to dinner?
In January,
We exchange cards.
it's 6 years since I fractured my skull.
What?
Yes. It
You don't
seems
remember.
like just...
You don't remember.
No,
I don't
you-
remember
no.
a lot of things
No,
because
it's
I
not
did
6
that.
years. Not 6 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
It'll be 6 years.
Walking down the driveway, taking up the trash or taking down the trash?
I was actually running down the driveway to recycle a tuna fish can.
That's what it was.
Okay,
Taking
Yeah.
how
down the
long are
trash.
you going to milk this?
What? Well, no,
I
I just...
can't taste. I can't do this. I can't. Yeah.
My life
It's just
is
like I
so
guarantee
hard.
5 years from now.
My wife made a finished stew yesterday, and it was the first warm thing I've had in 6 years.
See, but
I
I
mean,
guarantee,
like a
John,
soup.
5 years from now, a late delivery or this didn't happen or my computer. What happened? COVID. What? Yeah, let's milk it for as long
Well,
as
I
you
was
can.
trying to point out to you that seems like relatively recently, but it was 6 years ago. So 20 years for us. We've been, I think, around a lot longer.
John, I would have guessed 3 years ago for his accident.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
3 years ago.
Feels like 3.
I remember Tiger asked me to give a talk on roses was it the Mission Hills Garden Club?
Uh-huh.
And I said, I'll do it if you drive me.
Yeah. I remember.
Because I had, just recovered and
Yeah.
wasn't into driving long ways or places
Right,
I wasn't
right.
sure of.
I remember.
And now I'm getting to the age where if it's dark and I'm coming out of
Yeah, you get all paranoid and.
I turn right even though I have to go left.
Hey, let's quick question here. We got
All
a couple of
right.
minutes because
Okay.
I know the answer to this anyway. Barbara, but are poinsettias poisonous for pets?
They
No.
are euphorbia.
But I don't think they are, right, John? Or no?
Right. They're not. Well, first of all, they're not poisonous to humans at all. And for pets, I don't know. You might want to make sure, but you can Google plants poisonous to cats,
Right.
plants poisonous to dogs, and see if they show up.
I think they make them sick.
Yeah,
They might-
well, no, they did a research on this, and
Right.
basically, a medium-sized dog would have to eat a field,
An entire crop.
of poinsettias to actually kill it.
right.
Like you said, it would probably make it sick.
Yeah.
If it ate, 3 or 4 plants, maybe, but just biting off a leaf
Right.
or.
But you
eating
want to try to
something.
avoid,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and you have cats, Brian, and
Yeah.
most animals don't go around eating things that's going to kill them.
You know what though, and I'll make this quick. Several years ago, our older cat, we had some florist roses, and he got into them, and he got sick, and then his voice changed. Something that he swallowed or ate.
The thorns
and he-
get caught
and
in
he
your
had this-
vocal cords.
This
and-
voice like this. And I'm like, what happened? I took him to the vet.
That'd be
I'm
weird.
amazed that he could
Waking
even
up
talk.
to-
Most cats can't
Serious.
talk.
Oh, this cat talks. I'm sitting at home while I hear this. Hey. I'm like,
Hey, Brian.
so yeah, the florist roses though they spray stuff on there, and that's another thing, right? That you don't want your pets to get into.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
even though roses aren't poisonous, it's not something that's part of a cat's regular diet,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Hey, that said, we gotta go.
all right.
Thank you so much for tuning in today, learning about traveling these days and talking to
Next
you.
week's a rerun of a show that you
No,
might have
no,
missed.
this week is this show. Next week is this show. We're good for next week. It's the
Right,
weekend
but if
after.
you're listening to this next week on the radio,
You're kind of confusing me. I don't know. What year is it? Thank you for tuning in.
time-space continuum thing.
Enjoy
again.
the rest of your weekend and the upcoming week. Be safe, and we'll see you again next time right here on Garden America.